Hey, hello everyone. I'm Chris here with Elite Wave Cafe. It is Saturday morning here, and I just thought I'll do a little bit of a weekly review. I haven't done weekly reviews in a while. I mean, we do the daily kind of updates, but let's take a look and see what's going on here on the weeklies. And I'm going to go through all the indices and then go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin because things are looking a little bit interesting as we are approaching the last couple of weeks in October. And if I look at the S&P, we're still in a decent uptrend in here. We're being supported by the 50 day moving average in here. I mean, last week, especially with the Friday sell-off, it was pretty nasty week. However, we managed to kind of recover and just stay within the levels of the previous week, the highs and the lows, without creating a lot of additional damage to the market. So that's somewhat constructive. If you can see here, back in July, we've had another candle that looked fairly similar, after a decent rally, and that ended up being a whole lot of nothing because the following week was an inside week with the close almost towards the highs, and then we continue upwards for several weeks. So, yes, we are a bit closer to that 50-day moving average, and the moment we start to kind of close below it, things could get a little bit more interesting for the bears, I would say. But so far that hasn't happened. The RSI is still sitting pretty well here at about what is this, about 60. So we're getting bounces. If I look at the daily time frame, Friday they had several attempts of selling it lower, and we managed to close back towards the high. So very, very choppy week. Not an easy way to trade or to do much. In terms of the wave count, we're still kind of looking upwards for an eventual completion of this wave one, and then maybe a little bit of a heftier correction. I think that this has the look of a possible fourth wave forming by the way this looks. So even if we make a new high, we could be getting some kind of a running triangle or something sideways and then one more push. But we'll see. That's kind of what I'm tracking in here. I don't think we have a significant enough correction here to tell us that we've already done a fourth wave anywhere, and that's kind of my clue that we are not done going upwards just yet, and we're not ready for anything more significant. But we'll see. And as the composite, it sits kind of on the same idea. So selling off seriously last week, and then a nice reaction here of that flexible trend line, as we call it here, on the 50-day. One interesting fact on the Nasdaq Composite, and the S&P is a bit lower than the 261.8 multiple of a wave one for a wave three. This one in the Nasdaq Composite would right there, so this would indicate somewhat that we are probably very likely to be in a fourth wave type consolidation. We'll see how the last 2 weeks of October will go, because they tend to be very volatile, and you can see that in the VIX too. So I know there were some fears here with some of the banks and some credit issues, but so far it's been relatively contained. If we take a look at the semiconductors, which is a very important metric for the health of the market. Back in the day, there used to be transports. Now we're looking at semiconductors, and they are remaining quite strong in here, and a bit extended above their 50-day moving average. So pausing a little bit in here, it wouldn't be a big deal. Anytime you see a sell-off like this, you want to see continuation. If deeper correction is to take place, and so far this hasn't happened. If anything, we close towards the highs. The wave count, it's fairly clean in here. Some might argue that this is a fifth wave. I don't think it is, because the RSI, it's still fairly strong. So I think we remain in a powerful third wave here in the semiconductors, after we've done this beautiful ABC, and we overtook the top of this B wave at 55.25 in the SOX, and that was the clue to further expose one to longs. And that level, it's been holding on pullbacks. Sometimes things are just that simple, where a previous level of resistance or a previous swing high, once that gets taken out, that becomes support, and then traders, investors will place bids over there and just see if that holds. And it's a pretty good risk reward on situations like that. But that's again, semiconductors looking pretty decent in here. Russell, it is it's been pretty strong. I mean, I don't like because it was the one that made a new high after that notorious Friday sell-off below the 20-day moving average, and now we're kind of coming back, and you can see that in the weekly time frames. I'm not a big fan of these upside tails, that just shows selling and resistance. So until we get back below the 50, I'm not gonna get thrown off the trend. I think this still looks fairly solid in here. The wave count I continue to like. So this index, it is a bit choppier and a bit whippier, but it's still, you got to respect the fact that we've made new all-time highs, and it's still uptrending nicely. So I would look for opportunities to try to rejoin this one, maybe look at the daily time frames and see how it behaves here. There's no real good entries at the moment, but so I'll be watching this one. Dow Jones, again, just I don't think my count is updated here, unless I go maybe to, let's go to 1 week. Yeah, I just have it as a third wave in progress. I got to put the labels in here, but it's not much different from the other indices, bouncing nicely from the 50-day moving average. The one in green is the 52-week, which is a kind of a massive hold for much larger uptrends, and that's a gauge for longer term investing, but that's pretty good. And I'm not going to look at IBIT because we're going to go and take a look at Bitcoin, but let's take a look at gold. And it's been quite relentless in here, and it's done. I mean, after it kind of cracked out of this large triangle, it basically exploded higher. We were talking about this when it was forming. If I am to look here at the monthly time frame count, I mean, if you just look at the waves, there are before that and kind of where the move started, there's nothing here that even resembles a fourth wave at this kind of larger degree of trend. The RSI, yes, it's very high, and it's, as they call it, overbought, although I don't really agree with those terms. It could fall into a period of consolidation in here and just a move, and if it's at this degree of trend intermediate, or if it's at the kind of the one below it, well, remains to be seen. But I probably the big part, I mean, the large move, the meat of the move might be already done here. I mean, you can see you have 161.8, and I think this is, let me go back to my monthly chart. I think this refers to the blue count, to the primary. So we're just normal, but not extremely stretched. More stretchy would be the moment you would hit at about 652 in the GLD. Let's see, what this is for the wave 3. For this wave red, we are quite stretched because we overpassed 261.8 at 315, and we're getting close to 423. So yeah, it's normal to start to expect some corrective action in here, but I don't think this is the top in gold by any means. Now, I do watch there is podcasts and there is YouTube videos and there's Twitter, right? There's social media, and you can see how all of a sudden everybody's an expert in gold, and the people show you lines out the door to whatever exchanges there are in the world, and people expect those people are buying, but they could be selling too. So who knows? But uh, there is a little bit of a froth in here. I'm not saying it's the top, but all this kind of information comes up when we are a bit stretched. So let's see what happens. Silver, it's doing great as well. I mean, it hit. I don't think I updated my count on silver, but it should be similar. I mean, we are very likely in a larger third wave. The weekly time frame, we do have almost like a doji type candle, but again, what I am expecting, it's maybe I can go up here to a 2 week. Let me just try to see if I can do this really. Oh, I do have a count. Wow. Okay, well, I just had to zoom out a little bit, but let's see. So you can see that 261.8 of this red wave comes in at about 52. So we're not very far from that in SLV. I mean, in the silver market, we've gone, I think, 53, if I'm not mistaken. But again, you have a fairly clean wave in here: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for the wave 1, wave 2. So, and this looks like a 1, 2, 1, 2. So you need a lot more consolidation, and then up again, consolidate up again. So I think there is more to go. And if you look at, my cat is at the door. She wants me to let her in. I'm not going to stop this video to do that. But I mean, look, from a monthly perspective, this looks, nice and steady uptrend, and we broke, I mean, a massive level. This thing could be just getting started after, after we consolidate here a little bit. So these are my thoughts in the metals market and in the indices. And now let's jump over and see what's happening here with Bitcoin, which, I mean, if you look at the 3-month, it looks fine. I do like the 1-month chart because it's so nice and tight, without a lot of retracement, which somehow suggests to me that that the market is ready to explode upwards after this kind of strong consolidation. Then I look at the weekly, and then I don't really like the fact that we failed right there, and I talked about this in my previous videos, and that doesn't really make me happy because it's a failed breakout. So it's coming here and it's shaking people out. Why? Because that's what happens sometimes with the breakouts. They don't really want you to make it that easy to continue to go. Sometimes they do go and they take a lot of people on board. Sometimes they shake the tree and it's like, who's left, and then we can go. But back in here, we broke below that 110. We have a couple of strong wicks in here, so or tails, so they call them, and you're thinking there's buyers in here, right? I mean, we had a similar story, back here. So if we look at the count, I'm still favoring a nice ABC in here on on the daily. Let me see how this looks. That's the weekly. So we're basically, we're coming into a zone of support, which is that 200-day moving average, 40-week, 50-week, whatever you're choosing. They're all around the same level, and we're expecting serious support into those levels. This would coincide nicely with this ABC. The look of this ABC, it's a little bit tricky because we have like a break below this, a break above this high. So this qualifies as a running flat. It's just a bit too ugly, and I mean, it doesn't have to be pretty. Is this a 5-wave move? I mean, you go up in 1, down in 1, up in 2, 3, 4, and 5. Some might argue that this is a three waves so far. I mean, we can play with it in multiple ways depending on kind of how one wants to kind of guide itself with the direction. I'm going to stay long, and I'm going to stay focused on the upside. Longer term holdings, they are, I think we're fine. There is no real entry point here, if I can say that, right? We need to, like I say in my daily videos, right? You need to go above that 50-day moving average. I would love for it to get back above 115, and I'm just not ready yet to, being below 108. I mean, there's no point to go long. I mean, I need them to prove to me that they're serious about buying this market. So again, the wave count is the wave count, but the momentum is more important, and I want to trade with good momentum. So let them, let them buy, let them get above that 50-day moving average, and show me that there's strength behind this move. At least show me a 5-wave move in the other direction here, maybe even on a smaller time frame, which we don't have yet. I mean, I'm not going to go to a 2-minute chart to see that. I mean, I'm not looking. If I'm looking at the dailies, and maybe even sometimes at the 4-hour, then I need to see impulses there, and this is not happening just yet. Yes, we are getting some bids in here, but nothing serious just yet. So yes, let them prove to me that there is buying in here. Let's get back above 108, back above 110. Ideally back above 115, and which means there's plenty of time, to kind of watch it and wait, and short of doing very short-term trades, this is at least is not for me to move in. Now, from a longer-term perspective, being here close to this, 52-week can provide opportunities. I mean, you are also at the 50 RSI on this weekly time frame. Again, that's a level between 50 and 40. It's a level where, combined with moving averages, it is a level. These are kind of indications. That's where you want to get involved in the market. Now, where you play stops for situations like this. I mean, the moment you lose 40 RSI and you start to get heavier selling, that could be the wrong entry. Even a close, God forbid, a close below the 52-week, that's a problem. So, I I'd like to trade with the momentum, and I want them to see taking this market higher, and then I'll be more excited. But for right now, I'm just kind of content and just watching the market. So, thanks for watching, everyone. If you're on YouTube, give a like and a thumbs up or what have you, and follow along on Twitter. And I'm on Discord. We have a channel, so if you want to bring your charts, questions, comments, stocks, whatever you have, we can talk further. But I'll see you next week. Bye bye.